Welcome to the I Love CVille Show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. A pleasure to connect with you guys on our flagship show on the I Love CVille Network. Happy New Year. Hope the holidays treated you well. It's 2026, which is a scary proposition, but at the same time, an invigorating proposition. And I want you to hear this, and I want you to speak this into reality. 2026 is going to be our best year yet. 2026 will be filled with joy, with love, with upside, with accomplishments. It will be filled with a crossing off of checklists. 2026 will most certainly have its challenges, but we have the resilience, the courage, the backbone, the strength to overcome those hurdles and to make them, allow them to make us stronger. I truly, truly believe this. I am so excited for you, viewers and listeners, to have the best year of your lives in 2026. I am ready to do the same here. Our family, my wife, our two boys, Judah Wickower, this team, we are going to do it, and we're going to do it together. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines, my friends. We're going to highlight a post I did on the I Love CVille Network while out of town over the holidays. My wife and I, our two boys, spent time with extended family on Long Island, nearly, a week and change on Long Island, enjoying, just charming hamlets like Sag Harbor, like Montauk, like Amagansett, like East Hampton, Southampton, Hampton Bays. We have two young children, and we had to stay active. So we went all the way as far as you can go on Long Island to the lighthouse on Montauk. The feels-like temperature was like 6 or 7 degrees. It was even colder because we were standing on the beach. And as we were freezing our patooties off, a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, my wife and I, just huddled together, we looked out onto the Atlantic Ocean, and we saw a family of seals gracing us with their presence. And in that moment, I realized that, again, I think we all realize this, that nothing is more important than blood and family. As these seals were bobbing their heads near the shoreline, maybe a dozen of them, our two little boys screamed, "Look, those are seals." And in that moment, everything was absolutely perfect. We headed to Sag Harbor, and one of my wife's favorite places. She's been going there for nearly 40 years, the Corner Bar. We had heard through the grapevine that it was closing, so closings of iconic places happening everywhere. It's not just Charlottesville and Albemarle County. We all missed the Blue Moon Diner and Mel's Cafe. We all missed, Moose's by the Creek and some of these icons that have shut their doors. And Sag Harbor, the Corner Bar that had been there since the 1970s, was closing its doors because someone had purchased the building and had decided that the rent structure was going to change. And when an agreement could not be met, well, that's the end of an iconic business, the Corner Bar that my wife had been going to for 40 years. It happens everywhere. It's a tough pill to swallow. Change is hard. And we're certainly seeing change here in Charlottesville. We'll talk about some of that change as students return to grounds in about a little over a week here in Charlottesville. The chitter chatter is some faculty are trying to organize and strategize and galvanize a strike to protest the Scott Beardsley presidential appointment. I will offer the predictions I published on the I Love CVille Network that have gone viral, been retweeted by a number of big accounts, and been shared all over social media, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm going to highlight a statement from a local business family, the Arepas Steakhouse family. You can find it, Judah, if you want a heads up, on their Instagram. I will read it verbatim on the program today. I want to thank Conan Owen of Sir Speedy for sending us this statement via direct message. Conan of Sir Speedy will join us on the show on Wednesday. It takes a lot of cojones for a business owner to post a political statement, especially one that has Donald Trump dynamics to it. And the Arepas Steakhouse, the Arepas on Wheels, this Venezuelan family did just that. I will relay it to you, the viewer and listener, on today's program. We'll talk Tapas in Belmont. They are closing their doors through the month of March for renovations. We have some friends tied to Mas Tapas and some friends that are tied to the renovation plans. The expectation coming out of this renovation is going to be something truly special for the downtown Belmont eatery, Mas Tapas, that really set the pace and tempo for that food and beverage scene. Before there was the local, before there was Camole, before there was Bell, before there was Tavola, it was Mas Tapas and Mas Tapas alone, ladies and gentlemen. And because of this tapas bar that had some swagger, some je ne sais quoi, some cool factor, other restaurateurs like Adam Frazier chose to build their dream restaurants right next to Mas in downtown Belmont. And now it's an epicenter of dining in Charlottesville that is, the pinnacle of the profession. I think the only thing that could challenge downtown Belmont from a food and beverage standpoint is maybe West Main Street. At one time, it was the downtown mall all alone. Now I'd say the pinnacle of the profession from city of Charlottesville only, food and beverage, is West Main Street 1, downtown Belmont 2, and then maybe the downtown mall in the 3 slot. But we'll talk Mas Tapas and the expectations for this renovation on today's show. Speaking of food, Revolutionary Soup, one of the love children of the late, great Wilson Ritchie, was recognized by U.S. Congress and by PETA. The PETA acronym is People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
I think, yeah.
So we'll highlight why PETA and the United States Congress are recognizing Revolutionary Soup on today's show. We'll talk Virginia delegates Katrina Carlson and Cree Deeds. They want Virginia, the Commonwealth, to start limiting social media usage for children aged 16 and under to 1 hour per day. Per platform. I'm all for this. I'm also one to call out overreach by local government as well. It's not up to Katrina Carlson and Cree Deeds and the delegates in Richmond, Virginia delegates, to tell my children what they can do with their social media. That's my wife and I's responsibility. But we'll highlight that topic on today's show, and we'll talk the transfer portal. The offseason's really dramatically impacting the University of Virginia already. The backup quarterback, Kalen, is in the transfer portal. Remember, this guy was paid big money to be the backup for Chandler Morris. He transferred from Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, to back up Chandler Morris. The expectation was Kalen was going to be the starter next year. Maybe this is an indication that Chandler Morris is going to get a 7th year of eligibility to return to Charlottesville. Virginia's offensive line coach is heading to Stanford to be the offensive coordinator, and Virginia football is going after talent everywhere, including talent from Blacksburg in the secondary that's now coming to Charlottesville. Those stories and more. We'll highlight Charlottesville Sanitary Supply for being a part of the show, Judah. 61 years in business. Goodness gracious, maybe going on 62, right?
Yeah.
Charlottesville Sanitary Supply on East High Street. The Vermillions, the owners of Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion are honest people. They're credible. They're educated. They're knowledgeable. They're communicative. Their family business is 3 generations strong. Their family's 5 generations in Albemarle County. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. You can buy something on their website, charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. The prices will beat any of the big box websites, and it's delivered for free, oftentimes the same day. You're not getting that anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk about that we'll highlight Charlottesville Sanitary Supply on today's show. Judah Wickhauer, studio camera. I've missed you. I'm not sure if you missed me, but it's good to be in the saddle here with you. I genuinely enjoy doing the I Love CVille show. I genuinely enjoy recharging the batteries and spending time with my family over the holidays as well. I feel invigorated for the talk show, for our consulting firm, for our brokerage and our real estate business here, and I'm just primed for what is going to be a badass 2026. I truly believe this. I ask you every day the headline that you find most intriguing and why, and then we'll get straight into the nitty-gritty. My friend, it's your time to shine on the show, and shine you have been doing throughout 2025, and I'm feeling well into 2026 and beyond you will shine as well. Judah, the show is yours.
I'm intrigued by the statement made by the owners of Arepas Steakhouse. I'm curious what they have to say. I'm curious how big of a statement they've made. There's a rather large divide between what a lot of Americans believe should or shouldn't have been done in regards to Maduro, and the way the Venezuelan people largely, I think, feel about his being removed from power.
Did you read have you read the statement yet?
I have glanced through it, yes.
How about I read it to you? I'll read the statement from the Venezuelan family behind Arepas Steakhouse and Arepas on Wheels. Mm-hmm. You set the stage for the viewers and listeners if they're not following global news on what's going on with the United States, a fallen president kidnapped, and Venezuela. Why don't I read the statement first, then you, the who, what, when, where, why, as we go staccato back and forth on this talk show. Mm-hmm. So this was posted on their Instagram accounts. It was posted with a lot of courage.
Yeah.
A lot of courage.
No doubt, especially in this location.
Especially in Charlottesville, especially with Donald Trump written all over this news cycle. Okay. So here's the statement, verbatim I'm reading. It's very easy to have an opinion about socialism while living in a capitalist country. I've read so many things in the last few hours that I don't even remember who said this. For us, it's an expression that defines the collective feeling of a diaspora that fights every day to prove that there are more good people than bad. As Venezuelans, we kindly ask everyone to please listen and understand with an open mind and heart what happened yesterday means to us beyond political positions. Venezuelans are a people who have fought for more than 20 years to escape the clutches of a suffocating regime. We know this isn't a definitive solution, but it's the first step towards restoring the glory of our country. My words today may cause conflict. I've tried to remain neutral during these difficult times, but the uncertainty will only end when everyone sets aside their visceral opinions and begins to listen to and understand the other side. Thank you all for your support and understanding. Judah, set the stage, and then we'll offer some commentary.
Well, I actually want to hear more from them. I felt it was a little bit lacking, and I didn't quite understand some of where they were going with certain parts of it. But overall,
we will say English is not the primary language here.
Yeah,
it's important to highlight that. Mm-hmm. English is a second language, if not a third language here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't want to throw shade on them for that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, they were very brave. This community is largely hardcore Democratic, hardcore left. They will. We've seen some stuff, and I hope they're not. Damaged by making this statement. I think it's important for all of us on both sides of the aisle to listen to people whose lives are actually affected by the countries that they come from. What the Venezuelans think about the ouster of their former president. And not just listen to one media narrative.
Jason Noble, his words. He says it's an arrest, it's a detainment, but it's not a kidnapping. Okay, I appreciate Jason Noble. His photo on screen. Curtis Shaver says, "Welcome back, boys. Hope you all had a great holiday break." Curtis Shaver, thank you kindly. We love you, Curtis Shaver. Sincerely mean that. I think you and Jules are going to have an amazing 2026, my friend. I sincerely mean that. Venezuela is a country in crisis. Decades, if not longer, of economic mismanagement, hyperinflation, corruption, falling oil prices, political authoritarianism. Maduro is depending on who you talk to, Venezuela's version of Castro. a reference to Cuba and my family there. A collapse in living standards in Venezuela is an absolute understatement. There's food and medicine shortages, massive migration, okay, instability, war, crime, death, standards of living that no Americans would consider for themselves or their family. Okay? Some would say here in the United States that that our government overreach with what they're doing in Venezuela. Some would say in our country that we should be focused on what's going on within our borders and protecting our borders.
There's also discussion of whether or not U.S. is in Venezuela for the oil and the gold.
Which I have no doubt that's on the short list of it. Okay? We cannot discount the abundance of riches that are in Venezuela and how those riches are tied directly to the United States economy.
There's also the fact that they've largely run their oil production into the ground. I believe they have one of the largest oil reserves in the world. We'll have to wait and see whether the U.S. I seriously don't see the U.S. going in there and, I mean, what are they going to prop up U.S. companies to steal all the oil from Venezuela? It just doesn't track for me. But if we were able to help them get their oil production up and running, it could be a boon both for the Venezuelan people as well as America as a major oil user.
This is the I Love CVille Show, and what I'd like to do as a show tied to Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia is localize a global headline that's absolutely consuming the news cycle and tie it to Charlottesville. And how we're going to do it is this Venezuelan family that owns a couple of businesses in food and beverage making a statement on their social media that will absolutely go viral now that we're talking about this on the I Love CVille Show and the I Love CVille Network, which across all social media platforms has the most followers and engagement in the region except for the University of Virginia. What do you make of this Venezuelan family and their statement of what's going on?
I mean, I especially appreciate the first sentence. It calls out a lot of, it calls out what we do. Not that we're pretending that we have some lock on logic, on understanding the events that are going on around us, but they make a great point by saying that it's very easy to have an opinion, and I would replace socialism with pretty much anything. It's easy to have an opinion about X while you're living in a capitalist country, sitting in your living room on your iPhone, making political pronouncements and statements. It's very easy to have a strong opinion. It's very easy to call out other people while ignoring your own the plank in your own eye.
It reminds me a lot of what I experienced growing up with my mother, my grandparents, and our extended family. Many don't know this. I am 50% Cuban. My mother, my grandmother, and my grandfather, Mima and Papi, born in Cuba. Weeks before Castro takes over Cuba in guerrilla warfare style, my mother, Mima, and Papi were upper middle class. My grandmother actively involved in politics. My father hardworking, homeowners, money in the bank. My mother second, third grader, right? And weeks before Castro takes over Cuba, Mima and Papi tap my mom on the shoulder and they say, get what you can that's important to you, put it in your school backpack. The only stuff that you will bring with you is what you can fit in your school backpack. They also had a backpack on their shoulders, Mima and Poppy, and under the cloak of darkness, they left an upper middle-class home where they were politically engaged leaders in the community, and they got on a boat, and they went to Miami. Mm-hmm. Left their home, left their jobs, their possessions, money, and went to Miami, Florida, where they proceeded to couch surf. They proceeded to sleep on floors, couches, with extended family, hopping around until they could rally up a little bit of money for a one-bedroom apartment. And for years, a one-bedroom apartment is where my grandma, my grandfather, and my mother called home in Miami. Upper middle-class lifestyle in Cuba to South Florida, ditch digger, then a barber when his body gave out for my grandfather, and my mother, a hotel maid. From a political leader in Cuba to a hotel maid in South Florida. My mom, from second grade in Cuba to third grade in South Florida, where she could not speak English and was ridiculed mercilessly for years until she learned the language. You bring up this story to my mom today, and she gets emotional because it was such a vulnerable and raw time of her life, being 8, 9, 10, 11 years old and having to go through this. Mm-hmm. And she'll explain to us, you don't know hardship until you have to leave all your friends and family, put all your most important possessions in a backpack, and leave your home and never see it again. And she's never been back to Cuba. She has said to my brother and I so many times, you are so lucky to call America your home. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, as I've gotten older and I've gotten some perspective, I realize that Judah Wickower, me, Jerry Miller, the viewers and listeners of this talk show, think about how lucky we are just to be born on American soil. Think about the crapshoot of this thing we call life. What if a sperm and an egg that made Judah, or a sperm and an egg that made me, or a sperm and an egg that made Curtis, or Jason, or Lonnie, or Conan, or one of the thousands of the viewers and listeners that are watching and listening to this show, and that sperm and an egg that made you happened to be in third world Africa, or Venezuela, or Cuba, 8 years before Castro took over, like my mom. Mm-hmm. And I want to highlight the Arepas family, and I'm told they're watching the show, for courage to post a statement in Charlottesville about their home, their experiences, and when they say Venezuelans are people who have fought for more than 20 years to escape the clutches of a suffocating regime, we know this isn't a definitive solution, but it's a first step towards restoring the glory of our country.
Yeah.
Those two sentences right there are what the statement is all about. Mm-hmm. And they didn't make it about Trump.
Yeah.
They didn't make it about Republican and Democrat or overreach. They made it about restoring the glory of a country that is in the fabric of their DNA. Mm-hmm. So after this show, with this statement now going viral, I would hope that our community supports this family-owned business, both of them, vigorously. Mm-hmm. Conan Owen is watching the program. He's the owner of Sir Speedy. He is Hispanic himself, and he has this. The U.S. does not need the Venezuelan oil. The U.S. is one of the few places that has the technology to process Venezuelan grade of crude, which is a strategic resource due to its properties. Controlling Venezuelan oil has many strategic upsides for the U.S. Bringing their capacity online, it's been on its knees for years, will bring prices down and cut off Putin's cash flow like 8 years ago when the U.S. became a net exporter. It will cut off Cuba's supply of oil, which will topple that regime in short order. It deprives the Chinese of the heavy Venezuelan crude. While only 8% of China's imports, it's 100% of their sulfur-heavy crude imports. Also, it deprives China of a key ally in the region. He's talking about the politics of why this was the right move. Vanessa Parkhill, watching the program in Earlysville, 100% Jerry. I appreciate the Arepas family sharing their experience, and she says, I'm very happy to have both you boys back. We're glad to be back. Carol Thorpe, thank you for watching the program. Ray Cadell, thank you for watching the program. Lauren and Ivy, thank you for watching the program. Alexandra Vaughn, thank you for watching the program. Print, radio, and television watching the program. The print, radio, and television that's watching the program, I would encourage you to take your reporters or allocate a reporter to Arepas, to this Venezuelan family. Go to the Steakhouse. You could probably send them a direct message and ask them and do a piece on them.
I would love that.
In fact, why don't we do this? Judah, if you could this afternoon, could you reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to come on the show? We have Wednesday book with Conan Owen. And Conan, if you know the family, do us a favor and do a group text message with us. Judah will reach out via direct message. I would love to do the interview tomorrow if possible with them. We're literally doing this on the fly. If they can't do it tomorrow, we have Wednesday already booked. In fact, Conan, we'll take it a step further. Conan Owen, you're watching the program. You're booked for Wednesday. If you want to do the interview with them on Wednesday with you as well, I would absolutely do that. Alternatively, we can do it on Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday of this week. And I would love for the community to see firsthand the rawness and the heartbreak and the vulnerability and the pain and the suffering that this family is experiencing right now. Because I saw it firsthand with my mom and my Mima and my Poppy. My mom, my Mima, and my Poppy had family, they're in heaven now, that they never saw again after leaving. Never. And this wasn't at a time where you could get on like FaceTime.
Yeah.
This was at a time where you had to make a collect call. If you were able to make a collect call, which you could not to Cuba at the time. So it was handwritten letters that went unanswered. Do you understand the heartbreak of a handwritten letter for a third grade girl to her cousins and best friends in Cuba that comes unanswered? What that's like? You're 9 years old, you leave your cousins and your best friend, you cannot communicate with them, you're told to write them letters, and the letters go unanswered?
Yeah.
Do they even get there?
Right.
That's the type of stuff you're processing. And I'm not even doing it justice. Jeremy Wilson's watching in Eastern Tennessee. If the majority of Venezuela citizens are in favor of this and are happy, then U.S. citizens should not be upset. Bond Romer watching the program. Tina White Breeden says, welcome back, gentlemen. Thank you. It's good to be back. Logan Wells Claylow and Carol Thorpe, welcome to the show. I want the narrative to be one of support with this family.
100%. And discussion. I would hope that there is discussion around this. I think there is room for people to have varying opinions on America going into another country, and whether you call it arresting or kidnapping or what have you. I think most of us agree that this shouldn't be a regular occurrence. But at the same time, look at the Venezuelan people. They're not disturbed by this. They're happy to get rid of, as the people at Arepas put it, a suffocating regime. And I hope that we can be civil with each other as we discuss, America's part in what just happened.
John Blair watching the program. John Blair offered a comment to my 5 predictions about the UVA Board of Visitors soap opera. His comment was just a fantastic analysis. I republished his comment on the I Love CVille Network over the holidays if you haven't had a chance to read it. His comment then goes viral on Reddit and some of the other social media platforms. It was shared hundreds of times, his comment to my 5 predictions. He has some commentary, John's photo on screen. Jerry, this tweet sums up the Venezuela situation. Can you please read it on air so that your viewers understand what socialism has meant to Venezuela? It's from the Twitter handle, the Spectator Index, at Spectator Index is the handle. GDP per capita 2012, Venezuela, $12,690. Indonesia, $3,740. In 2025, Venezuela, $3,100. Indonesia, $5,000. It shows what has happened to the economy right there. Venezuela falling from $12,690 per person to just $3,100, while Indonesia rose, proves socialism destroys lives and wealth faster than any other system ever could. And it's important that socialism, let's use the word socialism, it's a Charlottesville show here. We have socialists that legitimately are leaders in our community, not just protest-wise, but politically. Michael Payne is a socialist. Sally Duncan is a socialist. Sally Duncan, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, Jack Jewett District, the hand-picked replacement by Diantha McKeel. Michael Payne, a 2-term city councilor in the middle of his 2nd term. My pick, I'm not saying I would pick him, but I think Michael Payne is going to be named the next mayor of Charlottesville. Judah Wickhauer thinks it's going to be Natalie Oshrin. We have a bottle of $75 Scotch or bourbon on the line, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll learn this month who it is.
Yep.
This month, we will learn. But how wild a time is it where socialism has destroyed Venezuela, and there is a very realistic shot that a socialist and Michael Payne may be the mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia. Okay, now I was having this conversation with my wife. My politics and Michael Payne's politics are 180 degrees apart. Do I think Michael Payne is intelligent? Yes. Do I think Michael Payne is well-read, well-prepared, well-informed? I think Michael Payne is one of the hardest working counselors we've had in a long time. I disagree with virtually everything he has to say on the dais. Okay? But there's an element of me that respects Michael Payne for his preparation and his intelligence. But it's important for us as men, Judah and I don't want to speak for you, who have a platform and a following, that Charlottesville potentially naming a socialist, maybe the S on the chest like Superman, if the S was socialist, the guy that would be most likely to lead the group is Payne. He's the co-founder of the group.
Co-founder of?
The Indivisible Charlottesville. Okay. The co-founder of the group. Literally the co-founder of the group is Michael Payne. For him to be potentially voted by his peers on council, the 5 councilors pick the mayor, as the next mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, that is a microcosm, I would say, of some of the challenges of that Charlottesville's economy is facing.
Okay.
And frankly speaking, I'll take it a step further. If Payne is named the mayor, is that a slap in the face to the business owners and the capitalists in Charlottesville? Everyone, after I made this post, I did this post on the I Love CVille Network, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I highlighted this, Judah. You ready for this? There's 5 city councilors, right?
Yeah.
Really, there's 4 city councilors and a mayor, okay? But 5 on the dais. The mayor makes $20,000 a year, $20K. The other city councilors make $18K a year. They're working 40-plus hours a week at this city councilor job. These folks are making less than $10 an hour to lead Charlottesville and to allocate a $264 million budget in fiscal year 2026. $264 million. 5 people making less than $10 an hour in compensation, right? Mm-hmm. It's bananas, right? Now, sure. They're going to get a bump in 2026. The bump in 2026 is going to take the pay up to $34,000. I frankly think the pay should be more than $34,000. There's a fine line between paying these folks too much and creating career politicians. We don't want a career politician because the job pays too much. I don't see how anyone could possibly live on the $18K that Michael Payne's been living on because he hasn't had a full-time job since he's been on council. Probably as a result of why he's lived in his parents' house for a good portion of that time. Judah gives me grief for saying that he lived in his parents' house. I think it's important to highlight that. Not throwing shade, it's a fact. Okay? The pay is going to go from $18,000 to $34,000 in 2026. They voted, they've already approved the increase to $34K. Okay? $34,000. Still going to be challenging to have a family on that. Okay? The storyline is this, though. If he's named Mayor Payne this month, what does that say to the business community, the capitalists, the small business folks, downtown Charlottesville? What does it say to what's going on here in Charlottesville, Judah?
I mean, does it really say that much? It's not like there's a wide option of choices available for mayor. I mean, let's be honest.
There's 5.
Yes, there's 5. And how far do they stray from each other politically?
Fair rebuttal. Fair rebuttal. The folks pushed back to me that said the mayor's nothing but a figurehead. When I said, who's going to be picked? Some folks said it doesn't matter. He's nothing but a figurehead. That's the city manager making the calls. My response to that was, that's not what we were saying when Nakia Walker was the mayor. Mm-hmm. And she was writing all those poems. That was my response. Yeah. Okay. My response, if Payne is named mayor, is the city of Charlottesville will have the co-founder of the socialist movement as its Derek Jeter, or as its LeBron James, or as its pitchman, the face of the franchise, the face of the organization. Yeah. The face is not Sam Sanders. It's the mayor. It's been Juan Diego Wade. Whether ceremonial or not, the mayor's the face. Mm-hmm. We're days away from the potential co-founder of the socialist movement in Charlottesville being mayor of Charlottesville. I want you to think about that. Mm-hmm. As we think about Maduro being detained, arrested, kidnapped, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, I think the people of Venezuela have had firsthand experience with not just, what do you want to call it? It's like here, our socialism is a watered down, it's a watered down institution that doesn't really know what it wants to be, and I think there are parts of our society that are somewhat socialist. We've got healthcare. We've got Social Security. There are certain things that we do as safety nets to help people, which come across as socialist, and I think most of us don't really have a problem with. It's the implementation of those types of rules and laws across the entirety of a society, where you see, like in Venezuela, the end result. And so I don't know what's going to happen with the new choosing of a new mayor in Charlottesville.
Well, you think it's Ostrin.
What?
You think it's Natalie Ostrin, right? That's your pick.
That's my pick.
Jason Noble, Michael Payne is Charlottesville's Maduro. Maduro to Venezuela as Michael Payne is to Charlottesville.
What does that mean, though?
I'm not going to take it as far as the violence and the corruption or anything like that, because I will say this: Michael Payne is honest. Mm-hmm. Michael Payne is a man of integrity. People were posting on the I Love CVille Network that these counselors and these supervisors were getting financial kickbacks. They're not.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
They're not getting kickbacks here. That's not happening here, folks. It's just not. They were asking me to dox their net worth. And many folks that, after I did this post, said that they've gotten wealthy because they've been on city council. That's not true. Michael Payne is not wealthy.
That did make me curious to, look at some of the net worth before and after being on city council.
The wealthiest on
largely,
council right now is Lloyd Snook. Okay? And because he's been a 2-term counselor, he has not gotten wealthier because of it. Has his law practice gotten more demand? Perhaps. But he is 25 feet down the hallway, his office from ours.
Yeah.
The guy's in his law firm 7 days a week till like 2 or 3 in the morning at times. The man's a night owl. He drives a beat-up Honda Civic. He is middle class, in a middle class, I believe it's the Greenbrier neighborhood. Nice house, but middle class. These jobs aren't making them wealthy. Payne was living in his parents' house. Natalie Oshrin sells weddings and events at Pippin Hill. Juan Diego Wade, I believe, is retired. Jen Fleischer works in mental health. Mm-hmm. Brian Pinkston was middle management at UVA. Nakia Walker, before she was on council, was making $10 an hour at Charlottesville Parks and Recreation. Probably your wealthiest counselor over the last 10 to 15 years was what? Attorney Mike Signer, who was in-house counsel for Willow Tree Apps. That's probably your wealthiest one. But I wouldn't call him wealthy. I'd call Signer, what, upper middle class? Carol Thorpe says she's with Judah on the Oshrin pick. And Carol Thorpe, who's watching the program, says there's a socialist revving up to run New York City. It's just incredible what's happening in the country. Yeah. I was playing squash on Long Island with a friend of mine. His name is Eli. He lives in Manhattan, where he works in finance, has his own shop, a hedge fund, and he also has a second home on Long Island. And his family was considering leaving Manhattan because of who was elected mayor. Was it Mamdani?
Zora Mamdani.
I butcher his last name. Okay, he makes the comment that 1% of the tax base is covering like 65% of the budget. That was an indication to me that he's in that 1%. And he says a lot of his contemporaries are already fleeing Manhattan, like fleeing the city because of what's happening. Jason Noble said that was tongue-in-cheek, to be clear, about Maduro and Payne. I understand that was tongue-in-cheek, Jason. Jason, you're a good guy.
I appreciate that.
We appreciated the comment, though. The socialist comparison is there. Janice Boyce Trevelyan watching the program. When the elections occurred in Venezuela, he did not win but would not leave, so he's not the rightly elected president anyway.
Yeah, that's correct.
She's right. Randy O'Neill watching the program. My predictions on the, if you want to put the first headline on screen, on the UVA Board of Visitors saga went viral. They were retweeted by a very interestingly, curiously, oddly, they were retweeted by a massive Twitter account for Virginia Democrats. And that tweet positioned my predictions in front of hundreds of thousands of people, which then flooded my direct messages. My 5 predictions for the UVA Board of Visitors saga, I published this a handful of days ago. Number 1, UVA Board of Visitor Rector Rachel Sheridan will resign before Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger fires her. There's one more meeting, Judah, before Spanberger takes office. Yeah. One more BOV meeting. Mm-hmm. I think Rachel Sheridan's going to resign in that meeting. Number 2, Vice Rector Porter Wilkinson covets the rector position, but Virginia Democrats have realized Wilkinson and Sheridan are Governor Glenn Youngkin's hatchet men And then I share a link to a Cavalier Daily article that highlights sources, anonymous sources, on what Porter Wilkinson did with the hiring of Beardsley, and how Porter Wilkinson kiboshed other candidates that the hiring committee wanted to sit down and have a conversation with or interview. Porter Wilkinson used her clout and influence as the vice rector, basically became the alpha in the room, and said, no, that person will not be talked to.
Okay.
And what the anonymous sources suggested in this Cavalier Daily article kind of directed the hiring process to who is the president today, Beardsley.
Okay. I'm not really sure what all that means. I think a lot of us agree that the Beardsley hiring was a good choice, and taking some details from the process and making it into a narrative is great. But I don't know that, and until I hear more, it's like, okay, somebody took a firm hand on the search for a UVA president, and we ended up with a good candidate who is now the UVA president.
I think Beardsley is a fantastic candidate.
Yeah, unless you have some detailed account of how I don't know of how Wilkinson was in charge of conspiracy to, who knows, to, I don't know, what, mislead UVA, get a president in before Spanberger took office. I mean, I'm not sure what the narrative is trying to say here. Just because Porter Wilkinson, did X or Y doesn't necessarily make her a bad person. Right?
Conan Owen has done an email intro with us in the Arepas family. They have responded to that email intro. He has suggested that the I Love CVille Show would like to interview the Arepas family on the show with their statement. They responded 3 minutes ago. They thank Conan. They respond in Spanish. Gracias, nosotros. We know the Erpe family. I'm going to translate this here. We've been to the I Love CVille studio before. They did an interview with the Erpes in Spanish.
Yeah, I remember.
And they say, we think that our English is not good enough to be on a show like that. Conan, if we've come up with a solution to have them on the show, I'm all for it, including potentially doing something in English and Spanish there. My Spanish is not good enough to do that, though. If that's something that I'm all for interviewing them. My third prediction on the UVA Board of Visitors saga is the Virginia State Code gives the governor power to remove UVA board members from office for malfeasance, misfeasance, incompetence, or gross neglect of duty. Spanberger will threat and leverage this code to reshape the UVA BOV sooner than later. Some call this cleaning house. My fourth prediction, current President Scott Beardsley is very qualified to call Cars Hill home, but Virginia Democrats feel bullied, burned, betrayed because Youngkin fast-tracked the Beardsley hire. As a result, VA Dems and Spanberger might backroom deal and then front and center force Beardsley out of office. And my fifth and final prediction, if a newly minted Spanberger makes big-time moves without political equity and goodwill, she will catch resistance and be forced to navigate collateral damage rooted in overreach, nepotism, and collusion. Is that a day one poison pill for Spanberger?
How nepotism?
If Spanberger, you and I are having a conversation here, if Spanberger fires Board of Visitors members for malfeasance, like Youngkin did with Burt Ellis, he set the precedent. Republicans and the media will characterize what she's doing as propping up Democrats on the board, replacing Republicans, Youngkinites, and putting Spanberger-anointed board members on what is one of the most influential boards in the Commonwealth.
Let me just say, first of all, that's literally what every governor does, right? Second,
every governor does not fire them and keep them from finishing out their term. That's only happened once in UVA Board of Visitors history with Burt Ellis.
But in terms of once they do start replacing board members, it's not like anyone is doing anything different than anyone else. And I just question about the nepotism, because that means something specific.
Well, the nepotism, the corruption, the nepotism, the backroom dealing would be picking an influential, wealthy donor that helps Spanberger get into office and putting them on the UVA board.
That's fair, I guess. Nepotism could be family and friends.
Yeah.
Or could be friends and...
Donor, supporter, friend, that's nepotistic.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, all the board appointments in some ways follow that.
Yeah, I mean... See,
But all the board appointments, all the board appointments, except for Bert Ellis, they don't fire the members.
Right.
They let them complete their terms.
Yeah.
If Spanberger does do that, if she fires people, she will have to navigate the word of 2025 in politics, is it overreach? Every year seems to have a word, right? During COVID, it was pivot. Is the word of 2025 overreach? 2024, the word was what, inflation with Jerome Powell? Is the 2025 word overreach? I mean, we're talking overreach with Trump and the DOJ and UVA. We're talking overreach with Venezuela. Are we talking overreach with Payne? And here's another thing that's going to scare you here is you put another lower third on screen with City Council in Albemarle County. That lower third on screen, please. I said this before I closed 2025 on this program. Albemarle County is at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been here 25 years and I've never seen a board more focused on development than the board we have right now. Sally Duncan and Mike Pruitt, Nad Galloway and Fred Missel, if those four supervisors form a collective and they start voting on things as a foursome, they're going to green light a lot of stuff. And my prediction is some development area expansion. It's 5% now.
Yeah.
My prediction is maybe trading in and out development areas if they don't choose to expand the development area. This is a crossroads we're in. And Pruitt's not going to beat Tom Perriello. So Pruitt's going to finish out his term on the Board of Supervisors. You got 4 years of Duncan, 4 years of Missel, 4 years of Galloway. What's Pruitt, 2 years in? 2 years left? These next 24 months could radically change Albemarle County. Comprehensive plan, development, economy, density, traffic. There's no school that's going to be built in northern Albemarle County. They don't have the money for a new high school project in northern Albemarle County. I think the taxes are going to be raised on us again, ladies and gentlemen. They just did 4 cents on the real estate tax rate in 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another penny or two in 2026. And that's a kick in the nuts. Next headline, what do you got? I want to give some love to Conan and Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. If you have a logo or you need some signage, some direct mail, some lanyards, this banner behind us, for example, Conan Owen and Sir Speedy of Central Virginia is who you contact. He's a Darden graduate. He is a fantastic business owner, great at communication. It's locally owned and operated, Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. Conan Owen knows what he's doing when it comes to a logo needing more visibility from a marketing or collateral standpoint. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, Conan Owen. He's going to be on the show on Wednesday. He says if Spanberger fires more than the rector, she is opening a Pandora's box. When the GOP takes over in the future, and they will because the Ds will, wait for it, overreach for the next 4 years, the GOP will do the same, and it will become a quadrennial tradition to dump the BOV in the president.
I agree. I hope that doesn't happen. It'll be a game of finger pointing for decades.
And then it will be...
You did it, so we're going to do it.
Right. And then it will be... And then it would just marginalize the position and be like, why would I take that job?
Yeah.
Lonnie Murray watching the program. Respect Lonnie Murray tremendously. It's good to hear perspectives of Venezuelans, and the removal of a dictator is a good thing. All that said, there are a lot of dictators in the world. Are we going to remove them all?
Yeah.
Are we back to being the global police? There was a better way to go about this. We could have gone in with the support of allies after exhausting all efforts at sanctions and diplomacy. There is a long history of U.S. intervention in Latin America, and it's often gone very badly, particularly when corporate interests have been put ahead of democratic reforms, self-determination, and long-term stability. There is a real risk here of Venezuela just becoming a banana republic exploited for its national resources with no meaningful democratic reforms. Bringing this locally, though, there's a big misunderstanding about what socialism is and isn't. A government can have socialist policies without being authoritarian.
Yeah.
France and Denmark, a good example of that. Michael Payne is more like Frederickson than Maduro.
Yeah.
Those are
good points.
Jason Noble's comment was tongue-in-cheek with the Payne-Maduro comparison.
Yeah.
We know that. Mm-hmm. We also know that Payne's policies are rooted in socialism and far away from capitalism. That's a fact, too. All right, a couple of items out of the notebook here on the Monday edition of the I Love CVille Show, which has gone well. I'm proud of today's show. Revolutionary Soup. This is, I celebrate this because it's a local business. Revolutionary Soup was recognized by PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
It's an odd thing to be recognized for having a soup.
A vegan spicy peanut tofu soup.
Okay.
And then U.S. Congress, John McGuire, a member of Congress, writes Revolutionary Soup Charlottesville a letter that he hand signs saluting them on a remarkable achievement for being recognized by PETA.
Okay.
I champion Revolutionary Soup because they're a local business and they're getting national attention.
And they've got good sandwiches and good soups. I just think it's odd that PETA's like, hey, you got a good soup because you put the word vegan in it. And
it's a vegan.
And I'm saying that tongue in cheek. I've never tried.
I don't think people got that.
I've never tried the soup, so it may be one of the best soups we've got in Charlottesville.
Give the soup a try there, Judah.
Probably not, but
you don't have a vegan spicy peanut tofu fan?
Doesn't sound appealing to me.
I will say their loaded baked potato soup is fantastic, and their tomato basil soup is fantastic.
I have no doubt.
Next headline. What do you got, Judah Wickower?
Oh, let's see. Mas Tapas.
Mas Tapas is closing through March. Through March for renovation. Not closing for good, closing through March. There's only so much I can say on this because I know what's going on. The remodel for this Belmont eatery, when it's finished, is going to turn this restaurant into a spectacular version of itself.
Okay.
Taking the first quarter to close, to remodel, get some more seats, and get some more pizzazz and sizzle. Mas Tapas, the first to set the pace and tempo in downtown Belmont. Now one of the culinary capitals of Charlottesville, downtown Belmont. Next headline, Judah Wickower.
Next headline is VA Kids.
We'll spend about 60 seconds on this. I don't know how you feel about this. I see this as overreach. Creed Eads.
Yeah, I understand
Katrina Coulson.
seeing it as overreach.
Let them know what happened first.
Virginia is going to limit kids who are under 16 to less than 1 hour of social media per platform per day. They are going to rely on said platforms to institute those changes, those, I guess, what's the word? You've got to know who's on your app. You've got to know how long they've been on the app. It does sound like a lot of overreach. I think it's a good thing overall. But, at some point you got to say, okay, I understand people saying. I understand you, Jerry, saying that this should be parents' decisions.
Government shouldn't tell parents what their kids can and cannot do. Government should not
telling their parents what the kids can and cannot do. They're telling the platforms that you need to limit what is allowed for someone who's
If the kid signs up
beneath
with
the
an
age of
adult
16.
account, the platform will not know.
right.
This is overreach. Katrina Carlson and Creed Deeds, this is window dressing. That's all this is. This is something for a news cycle that you think will make you look good. There's no way Richmond, Virginia, the Commonwealth government can control what 16-year-old children and under do on social media.
That's fair.
And it's an overstep to say to someone like my wife and I, your son can only spend 1 hour a day on YouTube, because YouTube's a social media platform.
But I think you're looking at it the wrong way in that regard. I understand what you're saying, but they're not telling parents, your kids can't do this. I think ultimately, in terms of parents and children, I think it gives. I know people are going to take this the wrong way, but I think it gives some parents some assistance. There are parents out there that either can't or won't slap the phone out of their kids' hands. I trust that you and Lauren are not just having your kids sit around for 8 hours a day on phones or tablets. But not everybody is so fortunate. And some parents are single parents. Some parents don't have the time. Some parents just don't have the strength of will to enforce something like that for their kids. And I think that ultimately, whether you agree whether you agree or disagree and want to call it overreach, I think that something like this, before long, is going to be necessary to stop kids from just.
What's next?
I know.
Katrina Carlson and Delicate Deeds, Change Your Socks, are going to say no Reese's Pieces?
Yeah, sure.
No candy bars because it has sugar?
Okay.
No Ho-Hos? No Twinkies?
You can make all the
No, but
extreme
what's
statements.
next? What's next?
I get it.
No
I
Little
understand.
Debbie's?
Are you mad that you're not allowed to give your kids alcohol? At some point, you have to say this is damaging to children, and somebody needs to take responsibility for it.
That's
my point.
1,000% agree with you that social media in abundance, especially for growing and developing minds, is horribly damaging. We're going to look at social media as millennial parents. What's the generation after millennial? Gen Z. As millennial and Gen Z parents, we're going to realize that what we did with our kids, allowing them to be on screens for hours a day, is going to be like drugs.
Yeah.
Where boomer parents, my parents, they were concerned about my brother and I drinking and smoking, right? Mm-hmm. Smoking weed and drinking beer, did it anyway. That's what they were worried about. Kids 18 and under, they don't drink like that. They may go Cali sober, but there's certainly hours on social media. And we're going to realize that was a generation that was negatively impacted in ways we don't even truly understand yet.
Yeah.
But it's the parent that should be my standpoint, the parent.
And I get that, but not every parent can. Not every parent will, and we still have to think about the health and safety of all the children.
Last headline. We'll talk about this on the Jerry and Jerry Show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Jerry Ratcliffe, the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. UVA football has lost their offensive line coach. He's now going to be the offensive coordinator at Stanford. They've lost their backup quarterback. The backup quarterback, Danny Kalin, has entered the transfer portal. He could come back to Charlottesville, but he has entered the transfer portal. They are adding players, including the starting quarterback from Rutgers University. He committed to the University of Virginia on Sunday. They added a safety from Virginia Tech. The portal is dramatically impacting Virginia football already. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow on the Jerry and Jerry Show with Jerry Ratcliffe, and a very detailed rundown on what's happening with the transfer portal and this Virginia football team. Chandler Morris, his 7th year of eligibility, and we'll also talk Virginia basketball as they rebounded from a loss in Blacksburg to the Virginia Tech Hokies by absolutely pummeling NC State. Judah Wickower was on point. If you need office space, that lower third on screen of any capacity, reach out to us, ladies and gentlemen. There's no one connecting more people with office space in this community than us and our firm. Executive office space, big office space, tiny office space, downtown office space, 29 office space, you name it, we'll connect the dots for you. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille Show. That's 73 minutes straight without a commercial break. Where are you getting that in the region, folks? Thank you for joining us.